Preventing urban decay and preventing urban sprawl, creating jobs and revitalizing our downtowns, our neighborhoods, and our economy. That's what urban redevelopment is all about. We'll take a look at some urban renewal projects like this one in North Glen on this edition of Connected Colorado. When old shopping centers become mostly vacant, it can create blight around our neighborhoods and urban centers. Redeveloping this property is a priority for North Glen this year. We'll learn more about these projects later in the show, but first, joining me now is the president of the Colorado Municipal League and the mayor of Arvada, Mark Williams. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Wendy. Glad to be here.
What is urban redevelopment?
Urban redevelopment is a process that we use in our communities where we have aging properties. You know, everything goes through its life cycle. You see that with shopping centers, you see it with strip malls, and these are areas where the city has to come back in through an urban renewal organization and redevelop those properties to give them new life, to give them new energy. Sometimes that's a scrape off, other times it's just sort of a remodeling and upgrading, but in large scale cases, it's starting over from scratch.
So what are some of the tools you use to make this happen? You got to pay for this, right?
One of the tools we use is the process of assembling the properties. Urban Renewal Authority or a city will come in and there'll be multiple owners within an area, and then working with those owners, acquiring the property so that they can be put under one ownership. That's an important part for future developers to come in and be able to do their master planning. Another very important tool is tax increment financing, what people know as TIF. And that's where we're able, under state law, to set a line that says this is the tax revenues that are coming in right now from this area. And that's the base. Anything that happens over the next 25 years in an increase of that is the TIF. That's the additional new dollars coming in. And those dollars are used, in effect, to repay the developer for the infrastructure they're putting in and the development they're putting into the project.
So you have to estimate really how much more you think that property is going to make.
That's exactly right.
Why are these tools that cities use for urban redevelopment so important?
You know, Wendy, this is a classic but-for. If we don't have these tools, this development, this redevelopment is not going to occur. There's too much of a gap between the cost of doing these projects and the benefit to the development community in terms of being able to make a legitimate profit.
How about the public sector? Do they get to be involved and have a say in this process typically?
They certainly do. Of course, the boards and the city councils help select who the developers are going to be, who are ultimately selected for these projects. And then there's a very public process of the development community showing what they're going to do so there can be public input back to the decision makers so that we can really make sure we've considered that input in moving forward with these projects.
So a lot of different groups kind of can put their stamp on it.
Always.
Mark, pleasure having you with us. Thanks so much for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
The corner of Wadsworth Boulevard and West Alameda Avenue in Lakewood could have turned out much different than it is today. The decline of Villa Italia Mall threatened to spread through Lakewood's core. The site required extraordinary public improvement to redevelop the site. This is the story of how the city of Lakewood worked with the community to create what we know as Belmar, a pedestrian-oriented downtown with retail, restaurants, and residences.
On the site of a failing regional mall, one community charts a new course for itself. Rather than repeat the pattern of generic, auto-dominated places that define so much of suburban America, Lakewood, Colorado chooses to sow the seeds of community. This is the story of Belmar, reshaping the suburban landscape. But things had started to change, and by the early 90s, the signs of decline were obvious.
When it started to decline, it was depressing. Actually, it was devastating. We'd have a store leave and not come back, and then another.
Lakewood was at a crossroads. It was now the fourth largest city in Colorado, but the mall, its commercial heart, was becoming obsolete. Attempts to re-energize Villa proved unsuccessful, and Lakewood began aggressively seeking an answer to its growing problem.
The city approached us in an effort to try to introduce some new faces to the Villa Italia project. It had kind of hit a static point that it wasn't able to move from. Continuum's centered around the idea and the belief that long-term value is derived from high-quality urban design and good community design. Lakewood had enormously high civic ambition. I think what we saw was a commitment from the city to do the kind of project that we were interested in doing. And furthermore, we saw a site that we thought had enormous commercial potential.
As it got further and further, we began to realize that, horror of horrors, it might all have to come down and start over. And then the idea came when we started over again, we didn't want a mall anymore.
There were still a lot of the older diehards that still wanted Villa to stay and couldn't bear to see it go. But if anybody got involved in the process in any way and came to a meeting or two and saw what was going on, they went away still sorry to see the Villa go, but realizing that something bigger and more important was on its way.
More than a year of collaboration between Continuum and the community resulted in a very different vision for the future of the Villa Italia site. It was a vision that accommodated the automobile, but put the pedestrian first. It included a true diversity of uses. It organized day and nighttime activity around a public realm of parks, plazas, and streets, rich with pedestrian amenities. It emphasized high-quality buildings made of substantial materials and possessing design integrity. It was a vision of an urban mixed-use district that would instill a sense of pride and identity within the people of Lakewood, a true downtown for the community and the entire west side of the metro area. It is the thousands of individual contributions that make a place special. People doing extraordinary things because they're contributing to something larger than themselves. It is the beginnings of connection to place.
The Villa Shopping Center was planned, and my father worked with Jerry Von Frelick to develop a color and texture scheme for the bricks. And our connection is that we are manufacturing some of the bricks that are going back into that site. It's always nice in your own hometown to be part of the history of that town.
There's no way this project could have been accomplished without a sustained commitment on the part of the city, and not just on the part of the mayor and the council, but on the part of the staff all the way through the city.
Belmar. It is the right vision, developed and embraced by the community in partnership with the right developer. It's the contributions of thousands of individuals and its execution, each one leaving their mark. It's people putting down roots and a community making a conscious choice about its future and its history. The result is more than real estate. It's perhaps a glimpse of the suburban landscape of the future.
Joining me now is Joyce Downing, Mayor of Northglen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Why is urban redevelopment important for a city like Northglen? You guys cannot grow out anymore. You're maxed.
That's right. We are a landlocked city. And so it is very important for us to be able to use urban renewal tools to help the redevelopment of our city. Without the tools and without the tax increment financing, we would not be able to do what we do. This development wouldn't happen.
What are some of the projects that you guys are working on in Northglen?
We have the Walmart project that is happening, and it's going to be a neighborhood market and pharmacy, and that would be opening sometime in the mid-2014. We've got this project that there's some competitiveness going on here because each store wants to open before the other, so we're really excited about that. And then we have some potential areas that we're looking at, such as at 104th and Huron, we have where the old Albertsons is, that we're looking very hard at trying to redevelop that also.
Why is the ability to conduct urban renewal so important to cities?
Well, truly it's a tool of the city, but we would not be able to bring the development into our cities without urban renewal. And with urban renewal also, for existing businesses, we're able to give them small grants to help give a facelift to their facility and or assist them in grants for upgrades in some way.
There's a lot to look forward to in North Glen. Joyce Downing, the mayor of North Glen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure having you.
The city of Golden has undergone some big changes thanks to urban redevelopment. Let's take a look.
By the late 1980s, downtown Golden was caught in a downward spiral of dilapidated buildings, high vacancy, crumbling infrastructure, and poor street appeal. Golden had great bones, as they say, with historic buildings dating from the late 1800s. It had a walkable downtown, and it's nestled between the Table Mountains and the foothills with Clear Creek running through its center. It is just minutes from Denver and an hour from the mountains. By 1989, though, downtown Golden was in desperate need of some flesh and blood. To add that vitality, Golden City Council created the Golden Urban Renewal Authority, or GURA, in 1989, and for the next few years, the city completely rebuilt its main street called Washington Avenue. This project upgraded water, sewage, and drainage, changed parking from angled to parallel, installed wider sidewalks with brick pavers, trees, and planters, and replaced the highway-style lighting with antique acorn-type lamps. Creating GURA and the new streetscape set the stage for downtown Golden's renaissance over the next generation. It went from ghost town to destination town. For nearly 25 years now, GURA has been working with public and private partners to revitalize downtown using a comprehensive yet flexible and responsible approach to urban renewal. Brick and mortar projects have been GURA's primary focus, but supporting other soft elements has also been fundamental to the vitality of today's downtown Golden. We're going to take you on a quick tour of GURA's projects to show you urban renewal, Golden style. In the mid-90s, Mitchell Elementary was moved out of downtown, leaving behind a primary lot for redevelopment. Over time, GURA purchased the land, and because it was non-taxable school property, GURA was able to use nearly 100% of the increment revenue to pay its loan for the land purchase and other development subsidies. This was GURA's first major redevelopment project, which created 78 new residential condos, about 100,000 square feet of new commercial space in 2 buildings, and a 315-space shared private and public parking garage. The Golden Gem Cinema entertained theater and moviegoers for more than 60 years, until it closed in the late 70s. The building was extensively remodeled for commercial mixed use, with a $350,000 sales and property tax increment agreement from GURA. Today the cinema is gone, but Golden Gem is now home to Starbucks, Snarf's, and the Thai Monkey Club on the first floor, and 2 upper floors of prized office space. Property tax generated from this site increased over 300%. Bent Gate Mountaineering opened in 1994, selling premium outdoor gear and taking advantage of a great need for such a store since Golden is home to great rock climbing and mountaineering. It quickly outgrew its first location and moved to a much larger space in a derelict office building on Washington Avenue. The dilapidated building presented structural and financial challenges, and that's where GURA stepped in with a $77,000 sales and property tax increment package, representing about 10% of the project costs. Today, Bent Gate is a star of downtown retail in Golden and has a strong national client base as well. Sales have increased more than 700% in Bent Gate's new location. The former Hested's building was home to a neglected department store and a dry cleaning site that had PCE soil and ground water contamination. It sat there mostly vacant for nearly 30 years and was a big black eye on the otherwise revitalized downtown area. GURA provided a direct subsidy, purchased and remediated the contaminated land, and built a 268-space public parking garage, all of which were needed to make the project a reality. GURA's contributions totaled about $7 million toward the $25 million project. Now, the site is home to 35 new families and a dozen new businesses that would not have come to Golden without Gura's support. Tax revenue from this site has increased from about $18,000 to over $300,000. Two very popular upgrades to businesses these days are energy efficiency and a good website. But most businesses don't have the time or money to invest in these money-making endeavors. Gura understands these constraints and has responded with user-friendly grants, loans, and some hand-holding to make these positive changes. For every energy-efficient dollar saved and every dollar earned over the web, the net effects helps maintain downtown's revitalization and prevent backsliding back into a ghost town. You can dress up a downtown, but if no one comes to see it, the efforts are wasted. Golden is a small fish at the edge of a big pond, so we must do everything we can to bring more attention to our side of the Denver metro area. That's why Gura supports regional, national, and even international events. The visitors and free exposure in the press that come with such events has been essential to downtown's success over the past decade. Gura also partners with the City of Golden, which actively markets and promotes Golden. Now, the iconic arch that welcomes people to Golden is known by visitors from all over the state and the world. Golden is now an attractive place for people to live, work, and play, which also makes it attractive to investors. Whoever you might be, it is better to be you in downtown Golden.
How's this for a redevelopment project? A piece of land too small for almost any type of business, but by recycling 2 shipping crates, it becomes a drive-through Starbucks. It's the first of its kind in the country right here in North Glen. Now they're popping up all over the country. Exciting things are happening in Wheat Ridge as well, thanks to urban renewal.
Welcome to the Wheat Ridge Town Center Apartments at 44th and Wadsworth. This is a great new retirement community developed by our Urban Renewal Authority called now Renewal Wheat Ridge. Come join us for the ribbon cutting and meet our new neighbors.
1, 2, 3. There you go.
Well, it looks like 44th and Wadsworth, this corner is back in business. How about a round of applause for everybody involved after 40 years?
Older communities have a need to rebuild from the inside. As you know, Wheat Ridge is a landlocked city. We're not going to get any bigger. We have to rebuild our inner core.
40 years ago, I was 12 years old, and this site burned, and it's been an eyesore since then. The elected officials, our council, have gotten calls for years saying, what's going to happen at 44th and Wadsworth? In 2007, Wheat Ridge 2020, and Rob Osborne and myself and a few other people started negotiating with the property owners to build options to buy the land, and that was turned over to Urban Renewal Authority. This site, which is great about this, is using our new mixed-use zoning, commercial, which was passed by City Council a few years ago, and our new architectural design standards. So everything is up to snuff. So we're doing high-quality work with high-quality products and high-quality people. So, like I said, let's give one more round of applause for everybody on this project.
Without Urban Renewal Authority coming in, buying the site, taking the time to zone it properly, we wouldn't have been able to create, a building as successful as this. This is a 88-unit affordable senior apartment community. It is financed with the federally sponsored low-income housing tax credit program. It is restricted to persons that are over the age of 62 and that make less than about $35,000 a year in annual income.
The land that we initially purchased was 9.4 acres in 2 parcels here. We paid $3.45 million for it in 2008. Since then, we have invested $2.4 million more to acquire the corner, have a continuous site here, plus all the infrastructure for this project, plus the other 2 parcels. So we've got a large investment here.
So this project, there used to be the old antique mall right here, and there's a gas station over here. What we're going to do when we're finished is he's going to bring it all to the ground, and we're going to actively separate all the materials. We're going to take the steel, we're going to take the concrete, we're going to take copper pipe, and we're going to separate it all, and we're going to go ahead and take it to a recycling facility. So this site will actually end up being between 80 to 100% of all the material coming off this site will be recycled. Renewal Wheat Ridge has had this site under their control for quite a while, and now they're actually looking to tear it down, redevelop on the site. So after this stage of the project, we're going to be putting in new roads, new infrastructure, new water lines, gas lines, and actually be building some new buildings on this to make this area of Wheat Ridge revitalized, and it's really exciting for all involved.
We anticipate a huge success here in this facility. I would like you to know that we have 600 people plus on our waiting list. Absolutely, I believe that urban renewal authorities have a place. It's not the end-all catch-all. It can't do everything. In our case, we've funded one project, this 44th and Wadsworth, but for the most part, we're not going to be buying and reselling and developing in that way. But we are a conduit for people that may not be able to build a project. This project could not have been built without an urban renewal authority being a conduit to make it happen. I think that 44th and Wadsworth is a center part of our city. It may not be the main street, but it is very close to our city center. And we now have 88 new resident units. They can walk, they can shop at our local shops. They're going to contribute to our community in a real positive way.
In the time since the Urban Renewal Authority, Renewal Wheat Ridge was formed in the city of Wheat Ridge, we've done some great projects. I think everyone would agree that the Wheat Ridge Cyclery on 38th Avenue at High Court is a prime example of marvelous redevelopment that was done because of some TIF, some tax increment financing. That exterior of their building, it's now a regional destination and international destination. It is the top bike shop probably in the United States, right here in Wheat Ridge. And part of that exterior was done through some tax increment financing.
We have one goal: remove blight. If we end up generating some additional tax revenues because of it, that's positive. But if we have improved the city, the community, the neighborhood by removing an undesirable or underdeveloped property into something more, that's really our goal. We're not really able to generate enough tax revenue to make this a profit. That's the last thing on our list. We're trying to make it a blight-free environment. In my 5 years, this has gone from a vacant lot to a wonderful building. So that 5-year period has been very rewarding. I'm happy to have served on this board, and I just wish we could have made it happen sooner.
Let's take a look at some urban renewal projects in Arvada. Transforming this into this is all in a day's work for the Arvada Urban Renewal Authority, known as ORA.
Our mission is to go into the areas of town which have declined and need renovation, and we go in there and revitalize that area.
ORA is a separate entity with a 7-member board of directors appointed by the mayor and approved by City Council.
We have been around since 1981. We have 6 urban renewal areas in varying degrees, from completed to only a few years old.
They include City Center, Jefferson Center, Northwest Arvada, Ralston Fields, Old Town Station, and Village Commons. With so much going on, it's helpful to look at just a few projects, past, present, and future.
Our first urban renewal area was City Center, and we started that in 1981, and that expired in 2006.
City Center took an area of blight and high crime and created the shopping and business district at I-70 in Wadsworth.
And with the revenue that was generated from that big power center, we went up into Old Town and restored Old Town.
New streetscapes and grants for restoring the facades of century-old buildings breathed new energy into historic Old Town Arvada.
It is a vibrant place. It is so popular that people are complaining about the parking, which I think means that we've arrived.
City Center also created Water Tower Village that now supplies 600 units of housing and added the new town square with its popular water fountain. Aside from its popular projects, City Center can claim financial success.
At the end of that project, we were able to contribute to the City of Arvada's revenue over $10 million annually.
One of ORA's current projects is called Ralston Fields. It includes several areas such as the Old Ridge home site at I-70 in Kipling, Once home to more than 50 abandoned buildings, it now has a super Target and 386 apartments. Still to come, a transit stop for the Gold Line.
So we are working with RTD and the developer on that component of it.
Also in the Ralston Fields project, the Triangle area with its 3 dated shopping centers at about Ralston Road and Independence.
That is where Kmart, King Soopers, Safeway is. We recently announced and City Council approved the Walmart on the Arvada Plaza location.
This Walmart will be smaller than usual, 138,000 square feet, compared to larger stores at 220,000 square feet.
With the revenue that we will get from that Walmart store, Urban Renewal plans to go across the street to where the Safeway and Arvada Square is and redevelop that shopping center.
Plans include a mixed-use, smaller retail development and new streetscaping.
We want to rebrand it. Instead of calling it the Triangle area, we're going to call it Ralston Creek. And we have great signage and branding and a whole new streetscape that will be put in. It will look dramatically different. It will be a place where people want to be.
A future project for Aura, Old Town Station, is in its infancy.
And one of our projects that we are pretty excited about is Park Place Old Town. This is a 5-story apartment building that we're hoping to break ground on this fall.
Park Place includes 153 units with 3 courtyards facing McElvoy Park.
It is beautiful. We're really excited about this.
With the Gold Line coming in 2016, Aura's Old Town Station project also includes a 9-acre parcel south of Grandview.
This 9-acre site is located along Wadsworth Bypass. It's between Wadsworth Bypass and Vance.
Plans could include a hotel, multifamily housing, retail and office space, and a parking structure for transit riders. It's considered to be one of the most desirable transit-oriented developments in the metro area.
And it really is because of Old Town, because people want to be next to an authentic place. And that is what Old Town is, with all of its small, eclectic restaurants and shops, plus the added bonus of now it's a transit station. So you're going to have all the people coming and going from that station.
With so many projects in the works, it is easy to see how the Aura staff stays busy.
We have a lot going on. It is a really exciting time to be in Arvada and to be here at Aura.
And finally, this is one of North Glen's finished redevelopment projects, the over 650,000 square foot North Glen Marketplace, which replaced the decaying North Glen Mall. As you can see, some exciting redevelopment projects are taking place all around our area. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Connected Colorado. On the next edition of Connected Colorado, we'll take a look at saving blighted city landscapes through urban redevelopment. This creates jobs, stimulates our economy, and prevents urban decay and urban sprawl. Join me Thursdays at 8.